All right. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. This is Pepe Ramnath. I'm coming to you live again here in the beautiful city of Miramar. We have a very interesting program today. I have with me the president of the International Third World Leadership Association and also founder of the MEL, the Miles Monroe Legacy team. We're going to hear a little bit about both of these organizations, and we're going to hear a little bit about succession and legacy. And if there's anybody I think that is qualified for this particular subject, will be the very son of Dr. Miles Monroe and Ruth Ann Monroe. So I'm going to bring him on screen right now, and we are going to go live, talk a little bit. He should be up right now. There he is. Okay, Miles Monroe Jr. So good to have you on this morning. Thank you so much, man, for taking the time. I know around this time, everybody is pretty busy with family, trying to stay in contact and, monitoring the whole system, and then isolated quarantine.
Right.
Homes. But you are in the place where God lives. So
absolutely. Good. Thank you for having me, man. Good to be here.
Yes. Hey, tell us a little bit about what's going on your side, in regards to infections and death. We were talking a little bit earlier for Nassau, Freeport, and some of the other islands. Give us a little bit of a summary of what's happening out there right now.
Right. So on record, we have about 24 confirmed persons with the virus. And I think of that 24, I think about 7 to 9 persons have died. I'm not sure of the numbers because they changed yesterday. So it's not high, but I mean, for us, we're taking extra precautions because we don't want it to kind of get out of hand. So our government has placed the entire country on a 24-hour lockdown, and we're on a lockdown from yesterday, which was Wednesday, which was Thursday, to this coming Monday. So throughout the weekend, we're going to be on complete lockdown. No one is allowed outside except essential workers. And I think it's good. I think it's better we do this so we can get a handle on the situation and it doesn't get out of hand, because as everyone knows, this virus affects the elderly and those who have, pre-existing conditions a lot more than, someone like myself. So we want to take as much caution as we can to ensure that we can save as many lives as we can.
Mm-hmm. Hey, how about the other islands? Or any reports coming out of the smaller islands, the family islands of Andros and all those places out there?
No. The other islands, the outer islands are fine. I know there was a report of a few persons confirmed from the island of Bimini. I think one person, the first death was from the island of Bimini, if I can remember correctly. Freeport has a few confirmed cases, which is our second major city. And I think 2 deaths were in Freeport, but all the other islands, there hasn't been any reported confirmations of anyone with the virus. Okay. So, I mean, but everyone is still on lockdown. I think the government is doing the best that they can to try and get a handle on everything. And hopefully, this we're able to, get whatever medications, vaccines, as soon as possible so that we can get the country open back up.
Yeah, thank God that your prime minister out there, he is a medical doctor too, so I can imagine him, putting his practice in the youth. Yeah. You guys are doing incredible. It's becoming almost an example nation, the way that you guys are handling this particular crisis. Mm-hmm. Chairo, I know you are Miles Jr. I'm going to call you Chairo every so often. All right. You have succeeded in the sense leading the International Third World Leadership Association, and also you and Charissa has established what we call the MEL. Can you tell us a little bit about these organizations and what they do? Maybe some upcoming conferences that you may have with MEL as well as with ITWLA. Tell us a little bit more.
Sure. So ITWLA, which stands for International Third World Leaders Association, was an organization my dad and members of our organizations have formed. This was formed, quite a few years ago when my dad started traveling, and he saw that there was a great need for a mindset reform and leadership training within developing nations. I know we would normally refer to these nations as third world nations, but I think in current times we've kind of adopted the name for these nations as developing nations. So my dad would travel into these developing nations and share his heart and his vision with what he saw, with us as developing people. And he noticed that there was a lack of training, a lack of leadership training, that he wanted to fill that void in these different countries. So what he did was he got some of his friends together, and they formed International Third World Leaders Association, ITWLA. And the mission of ITWLA is simple. We want to go into the developing third world nations, and we want to do leadership training, personal development. We want to be supportive in the relationships that we build within these countries, and build a global network for success. My dad was always the type of person who never wanted to be successful by himself. He always wanted to encourage others and empower others who were around him, and this organization was to act just like that. The goal is the cultivation of the leadership commitment. We want to produce leaders dedicated to the empowerment of their people. So we want to train the trainers, essentially, and that's what ITWLA is all about. We are blessed to have the resources and the programs that my dad and the others who are a part of this organization have established and have curated, and they've created this mechanism that we can use to continue the training of leaders. And we, as an organization, we believe that the training has to start from the top. Right, so we want to we want to train the governmental leaders, the civic leaders, the organizational leaders, because if we train them, then they're going to be able to train everyone that they oversee, everyone that they supervise, everyone that's under them, and the snowball effect happens. And it's all about creating a leadership mindset within everyone, developing them as individuals, developing them spiritually, developing them professionally, and developing them socially. I think once this development happens, we would see a change in a lot of countries, and we'll deal with a lot of the social issues that we experience. And it all starts with leadership, discovering your personal leadership, and then extending that discovery to individuals around us. So ITWLA is, like I said, it's been around for a lot of years. We have offices in different regions. We're made up of over 30 nations, individuals who have chosen to become members of this organization. And I think it is a testament to who we are, as far as the mixture of individuals that we have. We have individuals from the US, individuals from Canada, individuals from South America, individuals from the Caribbean, individuals from the UK, from Europe, from Papua New Guinea, from Australia, all parts of the world. We have our footprint, and that's due to the impact that my dad has had as an individual, and by extension, what our organization has. And then, as far as MEL is concerned, MEL is a conference. It's similar to ITWLA when we want to teach leadership principles. But it's something that I started. I came up with the concept back in 2016. This was after my parents had passed, and I was trying to figure out, what I wanted to do. How did I want to carry on this vision of leadership training? And MEL was something that was really dear to my heart. The whole concept has evolved, into today and what it is, and I'm so excited to how much we've grown as a brand. MEL is essentially a platform that I wanted to provide for persons who have achieved a certain level of success, right? And my dad always used to tell me that we all are curating our stories. Every day that we live, every experience that we go through, it's a part of our story. And I wanted to create a platform for persons to tell their stories, because one thing that I realized is we all go through we all go through similar things, right? The emotions that we experience, the success that we experience, the failures that we experience. It's all similar at the base root of things. And I didn't want individuals who felt like failures, or who felt like they weren't achieving the success that they could achieve or wanted to achieve. I didn't want them to feel like failures, because I wanted to create. So I wanted to create this platform so that individuals can come on this platform and tell their story and show other individuals that, you know, it's not easy. This road to success and personal development and personal discovery, it isn't an easy road. You know, you're going to have bumps in the road. You're going to have setbacks. You're going to have failures. You're going to have missed opportunities. But it's all about your response to all of these things that you experience. And I felt that Mel provided that platform for, first of all, for us to establish a network of like-minded individuals who are about changing the definition, or the social definition, of success. You know, success isn't just the amount of money that you have in your bank account, or the house that you live in, or the car that you drive. Success deals with the way that something makes you feel. How happy are you, or content are you with the achievements that you've accomplished? And I think when we can not only internalize success, but make success about helping others and establishing success for others, then I think we'll be even more successful in doing that. So that's what Mel creates for individuals. That's a platform that I kind of wanted to design, and I'm so excited about it. You know, we have a Mel conference every year. This year it was going to be July 25th, and it was going to be in New York City. But obviously the circumstances we're in now may affect that date, but you know, we'll see how it goes. Right, as of now, it's still scheduled for July 25th in New York. But where I'm anticipating, maybe that's going to have to change slightly, or postponed, or something like that. Yeah. And for our ITWLA has a conference as well, a global leadership forum, and that's where all the members and aspiring members, the networks that we've established, those individuals can come to this conference and meet everyone who is a part of this organization and get, you know, what ITWLA is doing. And that conference is at the end of October this year, and it's going to happen in Nassau, Bahamas. So it's October 27th to the 28th to the 30th.
It's going to be at the BFM. It's going to be at the BFM, or are you taking it
at the Diplomat Center? Yes.
Okay, very good. Very good. Hey, you know, people all around the world are still, you know, looking into the materials that your father had spoken, whether it's video, whether it's through the books and so forth, because, of course, you know, we know that Dr. Munroe spoke way before his time. Right. And what he's saying is so relevant to what we are going through, even right now, this global crisis that we're dealing with. Can you tell us a little bit about what's happening with MMI? I think it's now Munroe Global, and how people can get your material. I know you have presence on Facebook, but just let us know a little bit, because people have been calling me too as well, and other people as well, asking, where can we get the materials? We want CDs, DVDs, we want electronic copies if we can. We need books, whether it's from Amazon. Can you let us know what's happening through MMI or I think Munroe Global in regards to this literature?
Yeah, so Munroe, Miles Munroe International was the international arm of my dad's organization. It has since been rebranded to Munroe Global. And that was something that I actually was in the process of doing even while my dad was here. And I'm so happy that my dad allowed me the freedom to really evolve the brand and evolve the organization to the point where we have become fully digitized, right? So we have all of our products available through our website, munroeglobal.com, and we have CDs, DVDs, but we also have audio downloads and video downloads. And I think that's the trend of the market now, and we're moving more into digital products as opposed to physical products. So, but we still offer our physical products. We have all of the books, and we're constantly updating our catalog with the teachings that my dad would have done over the years. You know, we're talking, you know, back from the 80s straight up until 2014. So that's quite a bit of resources that, you know, it's a lot of work, but I'm happy to do it, because I feel, like you said, the information is still relevant today. You know, with this crisis that we're going through, he did a teaching on the kingdom. He did a teaching on overcoming crisis, right?
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
How we can manage crisis, how we can prepare for a crisis, and how we can thrive even while we're in a crisis. And that teaching, I feel, is something that is going to be timeless, right? Regardless of how many years has passed or where we are in life, crises are going to happen. There are going to be unexpected, uncontrollable things that happen in our environment and in our lives that we have to be able to manage. And the best way to manage those things is to prepare and plan for them. And that's what this teaching does. So the products are available on our website. Like I said, munroeglobal.com. I would highly recommend you take advantage of everything that we have to offer, because it's for any part of your life that you need assistance with, wherever you are in your personal development. There's something that you can gain from the products that we have. We also have a YouTube page that we have started to curate, and I've separated, or what I've done is I've created playlists of the teachings that my dad would have done. So there's a playlist on crisis, which is what we're dealing with now. There's a playlist on kingdom teachings. There's a playlist on purpose and potential. There's a playlist on leadership. So you can check our YouTube page as well. It's free of charge. You can watch as many videos as you want, as many times as you want, for as long as you want. And that's youtube.com/Munroe Global. So everything is Munroe Global. You'll find the majority of our available teachings on our YouTube page. And as we update our catalog, we'll also update the YouTube page as well.
All right. Hey, I know, again, it's going, I believe it's going into 6 years now since the incident had happened, and your mom, your dad, your uncle, and precious friends on that plane were recalled back here. But now we also know as believers that we really never die. We just leave this physical, limited area into what we call infinity or quantum.
Right.
I myself, I've been a victim of this. If I could use that word, I don't think that's a good word. And that, I lost my sister actually just 2 years ago, my elder brother. And, we've been facing different crises. I think God has been preparing us with our personal crisis so that we may face a given community, national, and global crisis. Tell us a little bit about your experience, if that's okay with you, on that particular day. And then we're going to move on to some other things. If you're not comfortable, Chairo, by all means, let me know. All right. But tell us a little bit about this particular day, what we call 11/9.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously it was unexpected. It was something that I didn't think would have happened. And that's what a crisis is, right? It's something that is unexpected. It's out of our control. We have no say in these kinds of things, and when they happen, how they happen, and why they happen. The best thing that we can do is choose to accept the reality of everything and try to move on. And that's kind of what I did. And I'm thankful for, prior to my parents passing, I was able to be mentored completely by my dad for like 4 to 5 years. And I think that mentorship and that time period was preparing me for first of all, my dad passing, which was, to this day, I can only lean on what he has taught me and my faith to say that, to give a reason as to why I was able to make it through that, right? Because, I mean, if you think about it, losing two parents at the same time,
That's heavy, yeah.
we lost them. At the time, for me, in my personal life, when I lost them, it was shattering. I felt lost. I was confused. I was frustrated. And I was really upset with God. But it was because of the teachings, and in particular, my dad he wrote a book called Rediscovering Faith, and I remember during that time, during the process of that book being written, and the reason why that book was written, my dad lost his brother. But he lost his mother first, but a few months after my grandmother died, he lost his brother. And losing his brother was really, really tough on him. That was the first time I saw my dad really have a difficulty dealing with death. And I remember we would have conversations about it, and he would just be talking to me how he had a battle with God where he just was similar to how I felt, at the time when he passed. He was just frustrated, was
Wow.
upset because he couldn't understand why, his brother would have to pass, especially the way that he passed. He passed in a vehicle accident. And in the process of him dealing with that, him writing the book, the teachings that he did on faith, I remember sitting and he and I were discussing from a business standpoint, and even at that time in our church, there were some things that were occurring that really tested his faith. And the conversations that we had, and I just saw the strength that he was able to build his faith to. That encouraged me to continue to build my faith and to build my faith to where I was able to get it to the point where they passed. So it was hard for me to deal with, but it was easy for me because I had a great example, and I observed how I observed the right way to deal with it. Was it easy? No, it wasn't easy at all. Like I said, it's obviously it's unexpected. You sometimes you don't think you're prepared for it, so in the moment you kind of confused and lost. But as the days went by, as the months went by, I started to gain a little more bearings with myself. I started to really, I started to conceptualize the next steps, and I took it a day at a time. Didn't allow anyone to rush me. Didn't want to rush myself. And I think that's part of the reason why I'm able to be here today, where I'm at today. From a mental standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint, and it's because of the tested faith. Faith is always going to be tested, and I think our our uh, our duty as kingdom citizens is to withstand that test and to pass those tests. And I think it's a constant developing of our faith that we need to focus on. Just like how we have to work on our physical bodies to stay in shape, have to work on our physical bodies to build our immune system. We have to work on our spiritual man, right? We need to strengthen our faith, to strengthen our walk with God, and to develop ourselves from a totality standpoint. And I think I've been doing that over the years because like I said, I've had a great example with my dad. He's allowed me to truly understand what it means to say Jesus is Lord, right? He's the owner of everything on this earth. We own nothing. We just have access to what he allows us to have access to. And as long as we can be good managers of the access that he gives us, that gives us access to even more. He can trust us with doing a lot more. And then the same with faith. He tests to see how strong our faith is. Like, you say you're faithful, you say you believe and you follow me as we follow him as our king. He's going to test that. And I think the more we continue to pass those tests, the more he's going to entrust us with, and the more successful we can be on this earth to give him all the glory.
Yeah. On that flight was your very precious uncle too as well. You had a very, very close relationship with him. Can you share a little bit? I think my coffee is. Can you share a little bit of your relationship with Dr. Richard Pinder to the people that's out there? Because I know you and Dr. Pinder, Sheena, the cousins, you guys were very, very tight, very, very close. Share a little bit to the audience right now, your relationship with Dr. Pinder.
Yeah, so my uncle, his wife, my aunt Sheena, is my mother's sister. So their family and our family literally grew up together. They lived right up the street from us. It was like a less than a minute walk from where we lived. We, as kids in school, in high school, elementary school, my sister and I and my uncle and aunts, their kids, Renaud and Talia, we would go to school together every morning and be picked up and dropped off from school every afternoon. So we were a really close family, and I saw Uncle Richard as a second father to me. He was always the cool uncle for me. He was a great cook. He was easy to talk to. He loved sports the way that I love sports. So we had a lot of things that we could relate on, and I just appreciated his outlook on things. I felt he had a very unique outlook. He was a very matter of fact, very stern person, and just straight to the point. And I respected that because I felt that I was a similar type of person. So, you know, losing him as well, I mean, you know, that was a blow in and of itself. First of all, you know, he was family, you know, he was my uncle, and then he was also a part of our organizations from a professional standpoint. So, you know, it was tough. I must say, my aunt, you know, I think it shows her her leadership, you know, her faith as well. I think she has gone through just as much, if not more, than what, you know, I've went through throughout this entire process, because she lost a husband, and she still had her kids here, and you know, she had to get accustomed to doing things now on her own, and I think it just shows her strength. You know, I think my family was really prepared for everything that we've gone through over these past 5 years. You know, we even the church. I think everything that my father and my uncle was a part of was able to continue because of their leadership. You know, their guidance, their mentorship, and I think it's a testament to the legacy that, you know, they've left behind, and we're now continuing.
Mm. All right. Hey, you know, tell us a little bit. I've been hearing you teach actually from the first ITWLA and from Mel too as well. You've been speaking a lot on succession. You spoke a lot on legacy. Um, you know, you are a real live example of what succession and legacy is. Can you encourage us? I'm going to put the screen on you. Teach us while we're here on succession, legacy, why it's important, what it is, what does it entail, and you know, share your experience in between with this particular subject, succession, sorry, and legacy. I'm going to hand it over to you.
Yeah, so just real quickly, I'll just share a few points and share my heart on, you know, this subject. I think this, like Pastor Pepe said, is something that's dear to my heart, and something that I've literally lived through, you know, as an individual, and the experience that I've had over these years. When I made the decision to move home in 2009, I think it was, to work full time with my dad. That wasn't a decision that I really wanted to make. It was just at that time the economy of the U.S. had really took a downward turn because of the real estate market that just kind of went bottoms up, and there were no jobs available at that time. And I was really anticipating finding a job somewhere in the U.S. and really starting my life there. But as God would have it, you know, I didn't have that opportunity. But you know, in hindsight, I feel like I had an even better opportunity to come home and work with my dad. And I remember he called me one day and was like, "Hey, you know, why don't you come home and work along with me?" And I remember in the back of my mind, I'm very big on business and legacy building, and you know, just building something for me. I never really wanted to. I never saw myself working for someone else for a long period of time. And the fact that my dad was on the same wavelength that I was, I felt it was a step in the right direction for me. It was a good sign. And I made the decision to move home and work with him. Throughout that process, he wrote a book. He wrote two books, actually. One of the books was The Power of Character and Leadership, and the other book was Passing It On. I think those two books really delves into the type of leaders that we should be as individuals, whether we're talking about leaders of a family, we're talking about leaders of a community, talking about leaders of a nation, or we're talking about leaders of an organization. We need to be the example that, first of all, we want to set for those who are under us, and then we need to be examples for the next generation. And what my dad taught me with mentoring and succession is it truly is the most important aspect of leadership. If you think about it as leaders, you know, in the moment, at the time that we're in that leadership position, the success that we achieve, the things that we're able to do to bring notoriety or success to ourselves, the organizations, the individuals around us, you know, that's great. That's awesome. right? That should be something that we really strive for. It should be a goal on our list. But there's life after that. There's life after we either pass away or life after we move on from that position. And one thing that my dad showed me and taught me was the true effect, or the true testament for a leader is how successful uh, the organization or the people or the situation that you were a leader of, how successful that is after you've left. If when you leave as a leader, your position, everything falls apart, I think it really shows that you weren't a good leader. You kind of were, you were just a good manager. You managed things well while you were there. You managed in situations, but as long as you're not there, management falls apart, right? I think good leaders, great leaders, are able to not only manage situations but influence others to learn how to do the same thing, right? Part of a big part of leadership is really is giving our knowledge, our experiences to those who are around us, and that comes through mentorship. And I think one of the things that, and you know, I'll say this: my dad obviously has been my father for my entire life, but he he didn't start to be my mentor until I was 27 years old. And that was entirely up to me, right? Because mentorship is a two-way street. My dad could want to be a mentor to me, want to teach me and instill in me all the characteristics and principles that he's developed over the years. But if I'm not accepting to that mentoring, it's not going to work. It's going to be a friction in between what I can learn and what he can teach. So the minute I made the decision to fully submit myself to my father as a mentor, that's when the true teaching of leadership and mentoring began for me. And I must say that was the greatest 4 years that I can remember of me having, just from a professional standpoint, in learning everything I needed to know about business, about management, about personal development, about people development, about being creative in my thinking, and changing my mindset and looking at things from a different perspective, regardless of the situation. There's an importance to mentorship that you can't experience by just by being in a school, in a classroom, or by working on your own with your own experiences. There has to be some mentoring, because there are a lot of things that we're going to experience that we won't know what to do, or how to get how to grow from those situations. And I think mentoring is a vehicle that allows us to not have to take the long route. It gives us a cushion because we have someone to bounce ideas off of. We have someone to ask questions to, and that's what my dad was for me. So, like I say, if a leader is in a position, leaves that position, and everything falls apart, then that's a testament to your leadership, and it's not a positive testament, right? You want, as a leader, the goal of leadership should be that while you're in a leadership position, you do well. You're able to transfer yourself on others, your beliefs, your characteristics, the purpose, the vision to others. And once you step away, it continues. And as successful leaders, that should be what we strive for. My dad always says, as leaders, the minute we get into a position of leadership, whether it's the CEO, whether it's the COO, the CFO, the manager, whatever that position is, the first thing we should do is try to identify our successors, because the process of succession isn't just an overnight thing. It takes time, right? It takes time to build someone who isn't as confident, in themselves, isn't as confident in their leadership, and that's why mentoring is so important. So when we're talking about succession and mentorship, I feel it's truly the most important aspect of leadership, because it signifies us as leaders. It stamps our true leadership ability, in whether it was a positive one or a negative one. You know, the legacy that we want to leave behind, we don't want to leave it in buildings. We don't want to leave it in things. We want to leave it in people, right? Because if we leave it in people, those people are going to echo our names forever, and you know, we essentially will never die. So true leaders don't just focus on themselves, don't just focus on tomorrow. They focus on, you know, 30, 40, 50 years from now. And the only way that you can the only way that you can ensure success 50 years from this moment is building successful individuals who are around you right now.
Wow. Thank you, man. You know, I remember, you know, you could give him a call at 3 o'clock in the morning or send an email, and then you see a response and you wonder, boy, does this man ever sleep? But, you know, his dedication towards, you know, his personal family, you know, you, Charissa, your mom, who is absolutely a great hero to us too as well. And, you know, we want to hear a little bit about her too as well. Um, you know, it's astounding the time that he dedicated also to the people of the world. And you know, this is something that we can publicly say to you guys, to you and Charissa. Thank you guys. Thank you for sharing your dad to the world, because you know, times that he gave to us, he could have been giving it to you guys. But you know, he knew balance, and this is why he rose up, you know, raised up two amazing leaders. Charissa is all over the world preaching to as well. Lots of demand upon her and upon yourself too as well to come and to minister in different regions as well. Thank you guys so much again. You know, of course, if he was here today, the world would have been, you know, checking in to see what he has to say concerning now this present crisis, the COVID-19, the coronavirus. You are a voice from beyond the grave, in a sense. You have been personally mentored. You grew up with him and your mom. I want you to share a little bit about the COVID-19. But before you do so, just tell us a little bit about your precious mom, Ruth Ann Munroe, the quiet giant that was behind this family. Tell us a little bit more about her, that the world would know of who Ruth Ann Munroe was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think my dad could have been the person that he was if he didn't have my mother. She was someone that was understanding of who he was, you know, what his purpose was in life, and she supported that vision. She supported that. She was the perfect person for him, and you know, I mean, it's crazy that, you know, they both kind of left this earth together, but I don't think it could have happened in any other way. If you know my dad and if you heard him speak about my mom, their relationship, their bond was inseparable. You know, she traveled everywhere with him. She was uh, 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 she was a great support to his ministry. She was a great support to his life, and she was a great mother to my sister and I. I think I tend to take after my mother a bit. She was a quiet person, but she was very she could be a bit, you know, when she needed to get aggressive, she can get aggressive, you know, and I appreciated that about her, because she taught me, you know, how to balance, you know, being patient, being aggressive when I needed to be, being discerning when that was needed. You know, I learned so much from her, because you know, you may think that she didn't see or hear things, but she saw and heard everything, and she was that air for my dad, or that eye for my dad, you know, to kind of just be there to support him in every which way, you know, to point out those who had ill motives towards us as a family, or to point out those who were who were genuine in their relationships and in their wanting to establish a relationship with us as a family. So, you know, I think she was really the backbone of our family, from a nurturing standpoint. You know, she, as my dad, you know, traveled and did what he did, she took care of home and ensured that when my dad returned, you know, home is home. Home is a place for him to relax, not have to be stressed after coming, you know, off the road or whatever. And she was also someone who enjoyed doing things with him and being a part of his life, because I think it would have been stressful for him if he was with a woman who couldn't travel as much as he did or keep the late hours that he did because my dad wasn't normal. I'd be honest, So it took an abnormal woman to be in his life, and I think my mother was a perfect.
Yeah, I remember every so often when she wanted to warn me about something, she would point that finger right at my face. You better don't do that now. You better don't. And immediately, of course, when she spoke, I would listen.
Yeah.
And if me and Angela would have a fight, Angela would call her. And then a couple of minutes after, I'm getting a call. And she would say, "What are you doing to Angela?" I said, "You sure I'm doing something to Angela? She's doing it to me." But, but very, very precious, amazing. A lot of people don't know. Also, a couple of times when her and Angela got together, because Angela liked these bungee jumping and all this crazy stuff. So
Oh,
one
wow.
day I remember we were in Guyana, and your mom came and they were waking me up. I was asleep, and they all came in my room and they were waking me up. And she said, "Oh my God, you missed out this boat." I said, "Which boat?" She said, "We went on this boat. This boat went like a 90, 100 miles per hour. You would have died. You would have died." But it was so amazing, and her hair, everything is everywhere. A lot of people don't know that side of her. She's quiet, but man, she gets into the rough side of stuff as well. But we miss her, and we know though that they're walking with the King in the kingdom of heaven. Thank you so much for sharing that about your mom, because a lot, you don't hear about the giants, the people, the backbone of the families, who is normally, the wives that stays in the back, take care of the family, encourages, the husbands and the family, and those of us that are at the forefront. We are so grateful to her. Miles Jr., we are coming out of time now, but I want you to share a little bit to the world, because people are watching from everywhere. Right now, we got people from Jamaica, the Caribbean islands, in Europe, Central America, South America, Asia, Africa, all over the world that are watching this broadcast right now. Give us some words of encouragement, some words of hope concerning the present global crisis that we are facing with this virus that's no longer localized, no longer in the community or in one country. It is now confined to the entire world. I'm going to let you say, tell us, some things in your mind concerning this issue.
So, one thing about crisis, we can always guarantee that a crisis is going to happen, right? It's just a part of life, the world that we live in. Crises are bound to happen. Now, crisis can be personal in our personal lives. Crisis can be in our professional lives, whether we lose our business, lose our job. Crisis could be in our nation, in our country, or crisis can be global, like the one we're experiencing today. But one guarantee I can give you is that the crisis won't last forever. There's going to come a point where this crisis finishes. And the key, that the most important thing for us to do right now is manage ourselves through this crisis. My dad wrote a book on crisis, and it's called Overcoming Crisis. And in that book, he speaks about the importance of planning for and managing yourself through a crisis, because crises are guaranteed, right? Just like how we have seasons, we have winter, summer, spring, and fall. Those are guaranteed to happen each year. We're going to experience a winter period, we're going to experience a summer period, going to experience a spring, going to experience fall or autumn. And we have no control over those seasons. We can't say, okay, this year I don't feel like going through a winter, so let's extend the summer months. That doesn't happen. Winter is coming, and because winter is coming, you prepare for winter, right? You buy the jackets that you need to keep you warm, the gloves that you need to keep your hands warm. You buy the shovels to shovel the snow for those of us who are in the areas that get a lot of snow. You prepare for the season that is coming. That's how crisis works. You're supposed to be preparing for times just like this, with your resources, with your, the job that you have, the income that you make, the gifts that you are in possession of. You're supposed to be developing yourself on a constant basis, planning for and preparing for times of crisis, in such a way where when crisis happens, you're not shocked, you're not fearful, you're not intimidated, because you're prepared. There's a confidence that we experience because of preparation that people would look at you and be like, man, are you crazy? Like, what's going on? The things that are going on in this world, and then looking at you and you're so calm and cool and collected. Like, how? And it's because, you know, we're prepared. If you're about to take an exam and you haven't studied, right, and you don't really have an idea of what the exam is going to be about, in that exam you're going to be frantic, you're going to be frustrated, you're going to be losing it, right? But if you prepared for this examination and you've really sat down and studied and done everything you need to do to sit this exam and pass, in that examination you're not going to be fearful, you're not going to be frustrated, you're going to be cool, calm, and collected because of your preparation. So in these times, especially this particular time of crisis, know that the crisis won't last forever. Know that even if you've suffered loss throughout this crisis, whether that's a loss of a job, a loss of your business, a loss of a family member, whatever that loss is, it's not the end of the world, right? There are still things that we have as gifts or as resources that we can make use of. We should never think that, just because we lose our job, we're not going to make it in life, or we're not going to make it as individuals. I think losing our jobs should actually propel us into using our gifts more, using the resources that we have more. It could be a positive, or it should be a positive. Everything that happens to us, we have to change our mindset of our response to it. Yes, we're upset and we're disappointed of the circumstances, but the key is to take that circumstance and turn it into something that creates value for you. We all are in possession of something. There's nothing and no one that is ever that does not ever have enough. We always have what we need. Now, there are things that we may have that we don't think is needed or necessary or worth anything. That's the exact thing that God wants to use to show you how dominant He is and how valuable you are to His plans. Our faith and our focus or our stability should never be placed in our jobs, in our paychecks. It should be placed in the gifts that we've given. It should be placed in the purpose that God has put on our lives, because you can be fired from your job, but you can't be fired from your work. They can take your job away from you, but they can't take your gifts away from you. And your gifts is what makes room for you on this earth. So as we move through this crisis, just change your perspective on everything. Within each crisis, there are opportunities, right? And with those opportunities, it creates a platform for us to make ourselves a lot more valuable. And that should be the mindset, the focus, the perspective that we have, especially as kingdom citizens, because we should see things differently than everyone else, right? Because within a crisis, like I said, crisis isn't bad at all. Crisis is sometimes necessary, because crisis brings us back to the root of things, and because sometimes when we achieve so much success, we think it's us who's creating the success, and God takes that away from us sometimes, because He wants to remind us, it's my favor, it's the access that I'm giving you that's creating the success for you. And when we lose sight of that, things happen. So we want to continue to be good managers, good stewards of our gifts. We want to continue to have the right mindset, the right perspective, regardless of our situation. And we want to continue to be aware of the resources that we have, the things that we are in possession of, that we can use to pull ourselves out of any negative environment or any negative experience that we are a part of. So this crisis, I'm excited about this crisis. I know that may be a bit difficult for people to hear or accept, but it's truly because I believe that within every crisis, there's an opportunity for us to grow as individuals, as professionals, and grow spiritually. And that type of mindset, it attracts things to us, and it creates value for ourselves and others.
Chairo, thank you so much, man, for taking the time speaking to us, all people from everywhere listening. We need your leadership. We need your guidance in this particular time. You've been trained very, very well. Your words were very inspiring and very encouraging to us this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And talk to you soon. All right. God bless you. Take care. All right. Hey, you just heard from Chairo Munroe, Miles Munroe Jr. He is the president of the International Third World Leadership Association, and also part of founder of the MEL. And we thank him so much for sharing his nugget of wisdom and what he has been experiencing over the years. Truly, he can speak on the subject of succession and legacy practically because he has been there. For those of you that are watching tonight, we have a special Good Friday service. I'm going to talk about the mystery of royal blood. It's going to be both though in French and it's going to be in English, and it's going to be hosted by Jean-Luc Canon out of Montreal, Canada. The church out there, I wouldn't try to attempt to say it saucy, whatever it states in French, but please tune in tonight and be a part of what God is doing through this broadcast. This is our way in communicating to you hope and life in the middle of this crisis. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you in a broadcast soon. Again, tonight, don't forget to join us tonight. I'm going to look for this ending up here so that you can hear the voice of Dr. Miles Munroe, the daddy of Miles Munroe Jr. Amen. God bless.
So the first thing God gave Adam was let them have kingdom on the earth. Everything is going to flow from it. Todo va a fluir. As soon as the high priest blew the shofar in the temple,